was thinking like Katie and I, we weren't the longest. You had 80s on the show longer than us, but we were there at the beginning.
Yes.
There at the beginning, and just the most important ADs, the only ones that matter. Hey, we're over onto YouTube. Hello, YouTube.
Exciting.
I have with me the most amazing women and man. We have Katie Carroll and Denise Poorre and Zachary Abel. I'm currently trying to make this countdown clock work. Count up clock work. So
Sorry.
That's
me.
That's you. God,
Sorry
it
about that.
wasn't me this time. I am wearing double leopard because I was without leopard last week, so I'm really doubling down for the leopard fans out there. And here is my mic, which sadly I do not have plugged in actually. It's just for show, to show you him. Liam is what we decided he's called. So there we go. I think that's everything caught up on business. How can you guys, are you guys able to watch it? Because I tend to talk loads in the introduction and then forget to press play.
Yeah, I have my laptop set up with it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm saying that, and
Wait, I should skip recap though. There it is.
Yeah, are we going to start when the Marvel logo starts flipping?
yes, let's do the Marvel flip. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they released season 7 on Netflix this weekend.
Oh, really?
Is that
They
true?
did. That's why it's up front and easy to find on Netflix.
Oh, that's probably why.
Yeah.
But Elizabeth, we DVR'd it and watched it, so I don't need to watch it.
I know. I'm totally caught up. We
Me
kept
too.
watching even when we
I
weren't
kept
there.
watching.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
for sure. Kevin wanted me to tell you that, by the way, your episode, and I agree, that you directed was our favorite one.
Was really well done. Was really
Yes.
well done. Absolutely.
Oh my God, thank you. And the thing is, that means so much coming from you both, because you can appreciate how nuts that one was to try
Yes.
and film and schedule and like block shooting. And I worked so closely with Keith, who was the first on that, the first AD, to figure out, like, because how I wanted to shoot it dictated the schedule so much, because what scenes I wanted to block shoot together and what I didn't meant how the schedule would go. So we worked so closely together.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
But we'll get into the whole AD department, right?
And I just want to jump in and say, I think isn't it the highest rated episode of Shield of any episode? I think it is.
Wow.
I say sure. Why not? I believe it.
It was at one point. I had my mom on there, 5 stars. No,
Yes.
10 stars.
And
Yeah,
Maggie.
we refer to it as like the Groundhog Day episode, but
Groundhog
it was
Day.
great. It was great.
Yeah. Hey, should we press play?
Let's do it.
So
the
where are
show?
you at? The Marvel flip?
I'm at the Marvel flip.
Marvel flip.
Say when to go.
Oh wait, I've got to get to the Marvel flip. I'm on the. Okay, right. So we'll go on 1, 3, 2, 1.
And I have my volume down too.
Yes.
Oh yeah, my volume's at 60, so turn that on down. Just me in this apartment on my own. Oh, and I've got this. There we go. Right, I think my clock's working and everything. Oh no, it's not.
When I looked at this recap to see what episode we were doing, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, this was the episode we gave Matt Mullins part, our stunt guy.
That's right.
Oh my God.
He was one of the soldiers. You'll see him
I thought
shortly.
it was. I thought you wanted us to do this one because we were shooting this one during Halloween, and this is the one where all the ADs dressed as the cats for Halloween.
That is correct.
Oh my God. Oh,
Which just literally came up on my Facebook feed. So actually, hang on, let me see if I can't find it, and then I
It
can
came up
bring
because
it up.
Maylene,
right.
one of our other ADs, just reposted it too.
Exactly.
Oh my
yes.
gosh.
Yeah.
We had that framed in our apartment, but Zach isn't
You're
there.
kidding.
So that was so fun.
I just saw
Can you
Matt
see it?
Mullins get punched in the face, and there he goes.
Oh my God, yes.
I'm still friends with him. We talk like on Facebook and Instagram
awesome.
and stuff.
Oh, we should get him on this.
You should get some
totally.
stunt guys for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't figure out how to work this clock. Every time I think I get it.
Katie almost did a spit take right there live.
Totally did.
Okay, I'm gonna see if this ends up counting up. No, see, it's gone to 18. Oh, anyway. Sorry, I just seen who told me.
It's good for room tone, though.
Good for room tone. Oh my gosh, right. So, can you guys explain what it is that you do in the crew?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Katie, go first.
The first AD
yeah
works with the director, and they do all of the prep work together, and they do all of the planning and the scheduling and the meetings with all the department heads and prep the entire episode while another episode is shooting. The second AD, which is what I was on this one, we do the day-to-day, hour-to-hour. We take the first AD schedule and we're looking at it. I mean, often I'm looking at it like a day in advance. And like, okay, we need this special piece of equipment for this scene, and we think this scene is going to happen this many hours in the day. So, but it needs this much setup time. So their call time is this, and we're working out the call time for all the actors, etc. And then what Denise was doing on this was running base camp. She's getting all of the actors based on all the schedules through hair and makeup, timing that all out. It's going to take this long to get, this person in this chair. And then they get up and this person sits down in this makeup chair, and, scheduling all that and then getting you all in to go shoot the episode. So we do all of the organizing.
Yeah.
And it's such a beauty, like, you can speak to this too, Zach, but being on set, when it's run well, which you did so beautifully, it's such a satisfying place to be, because everything runs like clockwork. And, you have to, as an actor, you kind of have to click into what that schedule is so everything runs smoothly. And then as soon as one person is late or traffic is bad or then it's like everything, you then have to recalculate everything. Or if a scene, if the director's like, oh, I changed my mind, I'm going to do this as one shot, then all of a sudden you're like calling everybody to come in. And oh my gosh, everything is so meticulously planned. And so then Katie, as the second AD, which stands for assistant director,
yes,
you schedule actors, right? Like you decide when they come in depending on how much time they need in hair and makeup.
Oh, Denise, how the call sheets.
I went on my laptop and I go, I wonder if I have an old Agents of Shield.
I know I do. I have
and I
all
had one.
Call sheets from all of season 1 and the pilot. I save everything. So I've got
this is what Katie had to do as a second AD. She does all of this.
Yes.
And the back is the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Putting everyone, that's what you do as a second AD.
Yes.
Are you given a template for that, or do you create it in?
Well, it's Excel.
Okay.
Spreadsheets are AD's friends. Oh yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Jay in Occidental College. Push that.
Yeah. Hey, Katie, I'm working with Jay August right now.
Oh, are you really? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So for a scene like this, Katie, that this is, they decide. So for something like this that's on location, it's daylight dependent. So, there's only, it has to be in a certain time of the day. So that means you have to get everybody ready for this day. So you have number 1 on the call sheet, Clark.
Like this is like Clark is so well backlit right here. I'm sure we probably did his coverage first. Very early morning. What happened to my, oh, there it is. That was all day. I think that was a dawn shot, like right after dawn, if I remember.
And you have to coordinate when all the actors get there. And then you have to figure out like the stunts with the thing being pushed and when that's shot and how long it takes. So you're working really closely with the director who talks to the first AD to say, this is how I'm probably going to shoot it. And then the first AD says to you, hey, this is how they're probably going to shoot it. You need to figure out when that big truck arrives, when the stunt people, when the actors,
exactly. It's a whole lot of logistics.
Right.
A whole lot of logistics. So, and it's funny, every now and then it's like technically ADs are not in the creative side of making TV shows, but we get creative because we're all, I mean, everything we do is putting a puzzle together, but there's no one right answer to the puzzle.
Yeah.
So you're always working like, oh, what if we did this? Okay, well, that works great, except for this. Okay, so what if we did this? And you move these pieces around. I'm like talking with my hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're constantly moving and shuffling, even if everything is like, it's set and it's a set schedule, and, oh, you have to shoot these scenes on this day because you have a guest actor in it and he can only work on this day.
Yeah.
Even then you might constantly work on, what if we did this scene first instead of that scene? Is that less of a hair makeup changeover? Is it faster to pre-light the other sets? Is it faster to shoot this, or this is a bigger scene and you want to get your hands into it first before people get tired at the end of the day, and the other scenes we can maybe fly through. So you're always working on it. And
Katie, how much of your day do you think you spend dealing with actors asking for prelims?
What time am I coming in tomorrow? Or better, what time am I coming in on Friday?
Yeah.
That's always the best
When
one.
do you think I'll wrap on Friday?
Yeah, it's Monday. I always love that question.
That's an excellent question. Well, so I've been firsting recently the last 4 or 5 years, and I was on one show and I had an actor who had a very, very young child, and she very much enjoyed, she did not like if she had like an 8 a.m. call, because that meant she left for work after he was awake and he'd get very, very sad and very, very clingy. So I purposely always tried to schedule her for first thing in the morning, and she'd have to be at work at 5 a.m. Like that actually worked out well. She'd rather show up early, be at work 5 a.m. and then get to go home, do some errands, do stuff, and then be at home when her kid came home. And it worked out really well. And so well, in fact, that they, she worked with her kid one afternoon after school to make me cupcakes. I'm like, I can be bought. I can be bought. So yes, there are little things like if I know someone is always working, or, suddenly somebody's dating somebody new, what time are we going to get off on Friday? Like, hey, you could schedule something for this Friday. Do it. Do it. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. You can do that. So, we try to make everyone happy, frankly. So we can't always make every single person happy, but if we can hook people up and, give them information and help the schedule work for them, we're going to do it.
But not everybody feels like that. And you were both, as I don't know if we caught this on this Zoom or not, because we were chatting beforehand, but you were both with Shield from the very beginning, and I think it's helped set such a brilliant tone, because you guys were in where the trailers are. So as an actor, Denise, you were the first person I would see every morning. You were there first thing. And to create that sense and that tone of like, we're all in this together. What can you do for me? What can I do for you? Like, let's be on this same team. Creates such an amazing atmosphere. And you're the communication between every department. So if hair and makeup has an issue, they come to you. If it's such a community. And if the ADs are not approachable and are not great at communicating, the set just falls flat. People turn up late because they're like, well, what's the point? Or they don't get the right message to come in early, or they, as an actor, you get to set and you're just miserable because you've been talked down to, or you can't go on a date on Friday because it creates such a pivotal. It's like the scaffolding that holds a TV show up is the AD department, and when it's a well-oiled machine. Just looking at Deathlock, just happened to have Jay August on the screen.
I know.
Well-oiled machine. It runs brilliantly. Denise, what time on average? Because so I'm in England at the moment. Denise is in Los Angeles, and I was texting you about the emailing. And
yes,
you emailed me straight back. What time was that? Because it made me nauseous.
And it was so funny. You emailed me. I was up drinking coffee because I had to be in the Valley in Santa Clarita at 5. So I think it was 3:45 in the morning. And I was drinking coffee, waking up, had my phone in my hand, I think to turn off the alarm. And then your email rang out. And I go, I'll just email Elizabeth back. And we emailed for like an hour. By the time I got to work, I think I was still emailing you. And I'm like, did you ever wonder what time it was? Because it was like 3:30 in the morning. Because if you're have to be the first one in. On the show I'm on, I'm the second AD, and I was going in. We have a really big cast, and I was going in with the person who runs base camp, and we had to be there at 5 a.m. because COVID. We have to get people tested and get all of that going, and it's a lot. It's a big deal. And so, yeah, and when I flash back to Agents of Shield, I think of being there at 5 a.m. because you and Chloe and Ming had to be in hair and makeup early.
Yeah.
And then my other memory is 3 units, and somebody on the first time we had 3 units going at the same time. So it was the main unit.
I think that might be this scene.
It could be. We always had a lot of time on Agents of Shield. We'd have the main unit with the actors. We'd have a splinter unit doing inserts or whatever. And then we'd have a 3rd unit of stunts. And I remember the first time we did that, someone said, Denise, do you want 3 walkies? And I was like, no, no, I don't. I'm like,
and
I'm just
you've
gonna
got
have
to coordinate all of that. And then as
yes,
an
I had to
actor-
I had to put all 3. And when you run base camp, you have to make sure the actors go to that unit. Stunt guys are ready and go to this unit.
Yeah.
Whatever they needed for the splinter unit had to get there. And so I'd have a lot of times on Agents of Shield, I'd have 2 walkies. And then the other unit, I would just be like, you're going to have to switch and find me somehow.
Yeah.
And then Katie would make 3 call sheets for one day. It was ridiculous. It was crazy.
So that scene we just saw with Ward and Coulson in the car, that would be a splinter unit, would you say? Or
No, that would be a legit.
I think
we finally, I think it was right around this time that we figured out how to do our double ups.
Right.
Might be right.
The last day of one episode overlapped with the first day of the next episode, and that allowed every episode to essentially take 1 extra day, which meant we weren't working so long every single day. They just expanded the length of the days per episode.
I forgot about that.
And I think that was one of the
a double up day.
It depends on the show.
Wow.
Because it all depends on the show. Because you need to have enough cast and enough sets that you can do full 2 shooting days and not, because other times you run out of cast. So, if there's a show that has a lead actor or actress who's in every single scene, you can't do it. You just don't have that ability.
Right.
So actually now in the COVID world, they're not doing it because it's too many people. You can't have that.
Oh, interesting. And I guess with so many stunts too.
I have a question from.
We had a lot of stunts.
I'm not being rude. I'm actually in the chat for the for the watch along. But Vicky Carter wanted to hear how she's like dying to become an AD, and so she wanted to know your.
Don't do it.
But she wants to know what your history is, how you got into it, from both of you guys.
There's only 2 ways, and
there's maybe 3 ways if you do the non-union AD route. But
that's true. That's true.
But then you already got to be an AD, so it's There's really only 2 ways.
Yes.
And actually, Denise and I did the 2 different ways.
We did the 2 ways.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I went through what's called the Assistant Directors Training Program. It's run through the Directors Guild and the Producers Guild, and you apply. I mean, I don't know how they're doing it right now with COVID, what their protocols are, but you could literally look it up online, Assistant Directors Training Program, and that'll get you to it. You apply, you do essays. At one point, there was a test like the SAT test. I think that's gone. It's interviews.
I think so.
Discussions. Hey, look, there's Matt Mullins.
I know. I told you about it. He's right there in the chair. There he is.
I so need to get Matt on here.
Yes, you do.
And Greg Rementer. He was our other stunt guy.
Oh, yes.
Not to be sidetracked from what we're talking about, but there were so many stunt people on Agents of Shield that to this day, if a stunt person comes to set and they go, I know you from something. And then I always go, did you work on Agents of Shield? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, that's what it was. Because we had so many stunt people. So many.
And so many that went off to do the huge Marvel movies.
Yeah.
You're like, gosh, they're stealing another one of our great stunt guys. Because it was just every single episode, there was some huge fight. And
always
when they broke through the ceiling, even when we ran out of money and all we were in was a corridor, we still had amazing stunts. It was just kind of, we got so good at doing it. And so, the second unit, talk about, that was always we always had a second unit.
Yeah,
to do
always.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I sidetracked Katie from finishing her going through the DGA program.
So actually we shot this the same day. We started in the morning. This is the same college. So we started in the morning with Jay, and then we came down around front, and now this is Occidental, and I believe Marissa went here.
She did.
She did. So as we were scouting it, and her dad was a Teamster captain, and we're scouting it, he's walking along saying, I can't believe we have to pay money to rent this. I paid this school so much money in tuition to get this for free. But that's Tommy.
That's so funny.
I still talk to Tommy once in a while.
I know, Tommy's awesome.
Yeah.
The training program. So once you're accepted, you do, give or take 2 years, it's 400 working days. And they assign you to work on different TV shows and movies, and you are like on the ground training, and you're working for the AD staff.
What does that involve? Because that's a hard job too, right? It's like an apprenticeship almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they just throw you in. There's very little learning before you're assigned to a job.
Right.
It's like a sink or swim scenario, and it's just you figure it
out. Not everyone makes it through.
No.
What did you get assigned to, Katie?
My very first show that I got, because then you alternate. After 50 days, you get assigned to another show. So even if you're doing well on one show and then you go to another show and you do poorly, and then you're like, okay, I can get through this, and you go to another show and it's great. Wow. So the very first show I got assigned to was the original 90210.
Wow.
I'm dating myself now, but yeah.
That's so awesome. God, I bet you have some stories.
A couple. But then Denise, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so when you are assigned and you do your 400 days, did you say?
Uh-huh.
Are you a runner? You're a PA? You're just kind of doing
It depends on the show. More often than not, you get assigned to base camp. So you do what Denise did in this case and on this show, but instead of going with a trainee on this show, we knew it was going to be big enough and difficult enough. We wanted to hire Denise as an assistant director. So like, we need someone who already knows what they're doing. We can't train someone new. We don't have that ability.
It was a big show.
It was a big show.
Yeah.
So more often than not, you're assigned to base camp, but the other shows will have you work on set, setting background.
Right.
Usually it's one of those two things. And then every now and then you'll get a feature, but it's mostly California-based shows, and there are fewer and fewer movies shooting in California. Although now with COVID, actually, there might be a few more, but
it's very TV.
It's
Los Angeles is very TV. Yeah.
So you're on a walkie, you're being told to kind of like what to do, and as an AD, generally you arrive first and you leave last. So you have to be up for being a team player, doing a ton of running around, getting 50,000 steps a day, and be prepared to get there at 5 a.m. and not leave. Certainly in America, you're probably not going to leave much before 9.
No.
Right? Correct.
Exactly.
So long day. Okay.
It's a long day.
How did you get in, Denise?
I did it the other way, which was I started as a set PA on, I'm just working on sets. And I think I literally was on like I was on a second big film when I learned about the DGA program. And I was like, what? There's another way? And by then I was so far in collecting my days as a set PA, and I was doing these really big action movies, some with Katie. And I was just like, oh, well, I'm in this group. I'm going to keep doing this, working on set. And as a set PA, you can get in the guild, the DGA, by keeping track of all your days. And I think is it 600 now, Katie? I can't even remember.
600 now.
I think to get in by working on a set as a PA, you need 600 days.
And they won't even collect. You need to turn in your paperwork saying you worked 600, and they'll just throw out 50. So you need to turn in paperwork saying you worked on at least 650 days.
Yeah, at least. And that's how I got in. I worked all of those days on features and TV shows, and I turned in what we call our book, which is all of your days, your call sheets and production reports, and I got in that way.
It's such an achievement. I remember we were on set when Karen KK got her days, and we threw a big party at lunch because it's such a huge achievement to get your days. And then you get to be in the union, which means then you get access to the benefits, the healthcare, you know, then you're in and you know, you have some protection and you're able to then climb through the ranks of AD-ship, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And all of a sudden your pay increases immensely.
A whole lot.
Yeah, but that's important to note that, like,
Yeah, 100%.
when you're getting your days, you're not getting paid very much.
Not at
You're
all.
working
Minimum wage, more often than not.
insanely long hours,
Mhm.
and you're doing the jobs that most people don't really want to do. Like, you're doing runs, you're like setting background in the freezing cold, standing on a corner, asking the general public, like, please don't walk in our shop.
Correct.
All those things, like, it's if you have that kind of brain, it's amazing, but it's a hard apprenticeship.
It's hard because often, I mean, we got really lucky on Agents of Shield because the crew and the cast were so often, but Denise and I both will have stories about, you know, you get somebody a cup of coffee, this coffee's cold, get me another. You're like, it's 40 degrees outside. I can't make it hot. Okay. Or no, you put too much cream in this, and they toss it at you and you're like, I'll go get another one. And you can't, and that's like, more than anything, you want to tell that person off because they're so uppity. But between the actor who is starring in the movie and you, and they say, I don't want to work with this person. You say, I don't want to work with this person. Who do you think is going to say, great, good job, I'll sign your time card, good luck with your future endeavors? It's going to be to the PA or the trainee, and you have to suck it up. And so I only jokingly say, like, run. I mean, it's really tough. It's great.
It's tough.
And it's really good when you're on a crew that you love working with, and when everything's gelling and it's fantastic, and you get like a family crew, it's fantastic. It's really tough to get to that position.
Lil, I think you should take this opportunity to apologize for your behavior.
I didn't mean, I was having a bad day. You didn't let me
No, actually, I will say Elizabeth is the one who, there was one day where I wasn't feeling well, and Elizabeth got me a cup of tea, and the best cup of tea I've ever had in my life.
Elizabeth
That sounds like
Henstridge?
Elizabeth.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
This Elizabeth.
Yes. You got me a
that
cup of
sounds
tea.
like her.
I was like, I don't know what's happening right now, but okay.
Hey, Elizabeth, I can tell you, Katie talking about that reminds me of why I got hired on this show, because Katie was at my house for a barbecue, and I just finished a show and I was jobless, and she goes, hey, I did this pilot for this Marvel show and we need an AD to run base camp. Do you want to do it? And I go, all right, I don't have a job, I'll do it. And she said, it's a lot of brand new actors that have never done TV. And I had like run base camp on some big movies. And she was like, we really want to train them so that they know not to be late, to be on time and do this and do that. And so we need you to train them. There's some new people. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And that was kind of, and I have to say, you guys were like never late. If anyone was late, I would get a call. Like, I remember Chloe was late a couple times. She would call, like, if she was due at 6 a.m. and it was 5 till 6, and she knew she'd call and go, I'm gonna be 5 minutes late, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay, you called, we gotcha. And Ming would do that too. Ming would be like, I hit a traffic jam, you guys were really good about being on time.
LA is a tough city too, because you can just hit traffic and be literally an hour late. I don't know where that came from, the fear of God of being 1 minute late. But I think
probably me.
Could have been you. Yeah, you're like, it was me. But I think because there were so many moving parts and the schedule was literally like, what are some of the call times on that call sheet you have? Because they were like 6:18, you have to be sitting in, it wasn't just like 6:30, it was like to the minute.
Oh no, we would have this one. It isn't bad. It has like 7s and because it's mostly guys. But if it was like you and Chloe and Ming, we'd have like 5:15, 5:30 call times to get you guys on set at 7.
Yeah. And if you were a bit late, then the person that sat in the chair, so Ian would sit in the hair chair after me. So if I was late, that means then the next person going,
correct.
Each hairdresser and makeup artist do multiple people. And so I think, but that's so interesting that you guys were kind of training us, because we were all new. Like, I'd never done a TV show like that before. So that's curious that you guys
It's a
No.
secret that I'm letting out.
Well, you should run a training program because
Yeah, you should.
I mean it's a problem with actors being late and feeling superior and all. I think that's it's an issue that I think Shield really was insulated from that for the most part.
But also, I think if you start to be late, you'll see your call time just gets earlier and earlier because
Which
you
is
kind of take
true.
in, right? That like, or you'll be called at the start because, you know, you can be called in any order. There are some people that you're like, well, I know they're calling you before everybody else because you're late. And also they perhaps don't like you that much. Like when you start, you know, if you have a person that's recurring that isn't very kind, you know.
But then the downside of that is, the downside is like if you start calling someone earlier and earlier, because that's what it is on paper, the hair person, the makeup person, the AD, the Teamsters, they all have to be there for that earlier call time. So now the actor who is only 10 minutes late is actually causing 10 minutes of like all of these people could have slept in for another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's also a lot of money. Like all of these people are now going to be not 10 minutes right now, but in overtime at the end of the day, that overtime starts. So it is something like when you have actors who are consistently on time, it's so helpful.
It runs smoothly.
Helpful. It sets the tone for everything. It really does.
Yeah.
Did you guys at the beginning, because this is something that we've talked about, like leading up to this episode, is like the pressure of the show with so much hype around it. Was that something that you also experienced? And how does that compare kind of to other shows that you've been on?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a good comparison for you.
Do it.
Because I was on this show, right? Agents of Shield, where we had the secret language, like the show was called Ragtag instead of Agents of Shield, so nobody knew who we were, or where we were. And there was, sides were all watermarked, and so nobody could get their hands on them because we tied into the Marvel films, and there was a lot of sworn to secrecy things because of the tie-in to the films. And then it's all this pressure, you're right, Zach, about don't accidentally drop a call sheet or sides anywhere, and we can't just throw them in the trash. We got to shred everything. And then after I left Agents of Shield, I ended up doing another kind of a Marvel show called Legion, which was completely opposite because they had no ties to the films. They had their Legion on everything, everywhere. And I remember when I started, I go, don't we have to, because I was so used to Agents of Shield, I'm like, don't we have to destroy all this stuff and hide stuff? And they were like, no, Marvel leaves us alone. We have no ties. We can do whatever we want. And so it was like, oh, no pressure. We just told everyone all the time what we were working on, and Legion was everything. Wow. It was very different. Wow. It was very different.
So, ours was just so secretive, which was nice because I think too, you don't want to accidentally spoil a storyline, which I have done in my time on Shield. Oh my God. I accidentally in an interview said about, I think I said about Brett being Hive.
And before it was revealed?
Yes, because I thought the episode had been aired yet and it hadn't. And I said it at a Comic-Con interview thing. And then they were like, the guy realized that I'd just done a major spoiler. And looking back now, he kind of flinched and then he kept asking me. And I was like, yeah, because he can like, what could Hive do?
Double down?
Yeah, I doubled down. And then I came
wow.
I was boarding do you remember this? Like we were boarding the plane and I got a call from the like Marvel PR and they went, hey Elizabeth, just have been hearing some reports that you just revealed about Hive and who this big character was, and just want to like sort of understand where that might have come from. And I was like, oh, did that reveal not come? I think it was like the mid-season finale or something they were revealing.
Oh, no.
Like, oh my God, it was awful. But yeah, and I thought, can they fire me? Because this was like season 3 or 4 or something. It was late. No, I was like, can I still get fired?
Katie and I were there for the reveal.
That was Brett as Hydra, not as Hive.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah, he's been through a few iterations.
I remember you got some alert come in. There was some other time that you were doing, because it's when you'll go to Comic-Cons that aren't like that, you're just meeting fans and signing and whatnot.
You forget what's aired and what's not.
And you don't get talking points that like really tell you here's what we're up to that's being
Once
aired.
I accidentally revealed that, you best believe we had talking points. Every weekend they were like, here's what's aired, here's what you can say.
Yeah. I was there. I remember Zach had a cameo while I was there. He was on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't think we've got that episode's in a couple of weeks, Zach. We should
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't make it on screen, but
Yeah.
we have seen it.
I know.
Nice.
Maybe I could play it. The DVD extras.
Cool.
Yeah.
I remember that was the episode where we hired the stuntman to drown in water, and we only found out that he couldn't swim like almost that day.
I don't remember that. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if
God.
but that was it.
What did you do?
Never occurred to anyone to say, "Can you swim?" It was because he was going to be in the shallow end because of the visual effects of what we were doing, so he was going to be able to stand. But he needed to swim the length of the pool back and forth a couple of times first. So he was fine being in the pool and standing in the shallow end, chest deep in water, whatever you need to do. But you need me actually to swim. I'm sorry, what?
Oh no.
Okay.
But
I don't remember what our solution was. I think at the last minute we hired another stunt double to double the stuntman.
The double.
To just do the swimming, and then when it came time for the drowning, we put him in. I believe. I honestly don't know for sure, but I think so.
Wow.
I don't even remember that.
Type of fires that you then have to
put
out on the ground in the moment. And like now I'm looking at, we've got cars and it's night. So for some
Long Beach.
Yes, this was awesome because it was 5 minutes from my house. I remember this night, and we blew up the bridge. That was very exciting. I always like when we blow up things.
Yeah. It's always fun.
You have to just shut the traffic down, obviously. And then this is a night shoot. So does that mean then that, because so actors and crew have a turnaround, you can't just film in the day and then the next day be like, okay, we're going to do night. You kind of have to work towards the night shoot, right? So then how do you...
I think this was 2 splits. I think we did some daytime work and then did the night shoot for only half the night, from like 8 p.m. until 2 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't crazy that night.
Right. And then we came back and did it the same thing the next day.
Does everyone fall under a forced call, or is that an actor thing? Or is it all?
No, we had some crew occasionally with forced call, camera specifically.
Camera
has the
it's
longest
always
turnaround.
camera.
It's always camera.
So as you're scheduling it, you also have to figure out how expensive people are going to be if you go over. So for actors, depending on which union you're in as an actor, because it's different in England, but the production get penalized, like they have to pay you extra if they if they force your call, which means they call you
less than 12 hours.
You don't get enough rest time from the time that you leave one day until the time that you're expected to show up for work the next day. Every single union member, whether it's an actor or a crew member, and every crew member have varying levels of what that hour is. But if you call them with less than their turnaround, it's called, then they get a forced call. And every union has different penalties.
We have to figure that out. I mean, we don't have to figure out how much it costs, but we warn everyone, hey, if you want this actor at this time tomorrow, you're going to be paying a forced call.
Yeah.
And so we kind of warn. I just saw Ruth. Do you know what I remember about Ruth? Was sometimes I would take her to set and she would go, I can't do an Irish accent, but she would go, Denise, how would you say this word? And then she would give me a word and I would say, I say it like this. It would be once in a while she would ask me about a
accent
word.
Was so brilliant, and it's thanks to Denise.
Yeah. No. It would just be one word once in a while. I remember. That's what I can't believe you didn't get
I can't believe you didn't get a vocal coach credit on this.
Yeah, come on.
No, 80s do that stuff all the time. Come on. The other thing I was going to say about people wanting to be 80s that Katie made me think of is you definitely have to love organizing things and solving problems, solving puzzles, because that's what we do. I mean, you've got to be a puzzle solver to be an assistant director, for sure.
I have another question. So both of you went through the LA channel, but there's so many productions that are outside of LA. Like if you're in a different state, can you do the same thing? Like if you're in Atlanta or you're shooting the show in Austin or something like that, would it be a similar track?
For my route, yes, you can collect your days to get into the Directors Guild in pretty much every state, as long as it's a union show.
Via the PA route.
Right.
Yes.
And then, but the DGA training program is specific to LA?
Well, it's an LA-based program, and they assign you to shows, most of which are in LA, but they do try, if there's a show that is shooting out of town and they call up and say, hey, can we get a trainee? They'll jump at the chance. They want to try and get you some out-of-town experience.
There's also in New York. There's also a New
York-based training program as well. It's a little bit different in how it's structured. And I don't know the details about that, of how they do it.
Right. And then how did you, Denise, in the first place, how did you get to be on set as a PA?
I think, well, I had in college, you know, you take your film classes and everything and you meet people. And then I had like a legit corporate job, but I would still do it as a hobby. And then one day I had a friend who said, oh, we're going to work on this little feature. Can you come work? And I'm like, sure. And I did everything. Like I knew how to grip. I was an AC. I knew how to load film, which no one does anymore. And I kept doing it for fun. And then one day I got on a little feature and they wanted to pay me to be one of the, it wasn't, you know, what like a set PA. And I was like, what? Someone's going to pay me to do this? And then I did it. And then I loved it. And I realized I liked the whole carnival atmosphere. And then I just dove into it head first. But I was pretty lucky. I got on like big features somehow right away. And I was in.
An important thing to note too, of just getting any film experience, especially like student short films, they're always advertising like make sure you're safe, tell someone where you're going, go with a friend. But if you get on a film crew, whether it's a tiny thing that they're doing for $100 or whether it's a big film, if you love that energy, you're in the right place, because there is nothing like a set.
Right.
And like you say, is that carnival atmosphere of, oh my gosh, here we go.
Explosion.
Big explosion.
Yes.
Gosh. I remember that day as just being so delirious. And Ian and I were like, God, I hope they do this close up, because we just look ridiculous. Like we were doing the smallest little reactions. And then when we saw it after, we're like, wow, that definitely, if I was Elizabeth reacting to that, I'd jumped off the bridge by now. Like, oh no.
I always like how no matter what show you're on, if there's an explosion, the entire crew comes and hangs out, because we like to see things blow up.
Oh yeah.
It's so fun. It's like being in a video game.
Yes.
We get to do the coolest thing. Oh, that's where we wrote in Brett getting injured to cover for his
broken hand.
Yes. Whip hit on the thing, and that'll cover it.
Oh,
and
yeah. I
so we could write in that his finger. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot about that. I remember the day I listened to your podcast when he talked about Elizabeth, but I remember the day he broke his hand.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you guys have to suddenly coordinate an ambulance and like
yes,
and an
X-ray to the hospital.
God. Yeah, and that does like life happens on a set. Those things happen, and it's how you deal with it and then protect it, and then it's writing it into the storyline, and how do you figure out him having a couple days off? And
Clark got hurt one time.
Yeah.
Too, Katie, remember that?
I think like episode 2.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You guys sorted that out too, you know? You just go like, okay, I loved what you said about you have to love problem solving.
Exactly.
Because, you know, how many years have you both been doing it? And tomorrow something could still happen for the first time. And you go, oh, okay. You know, how many actors have we had coming in that for some reason get stage fright and know not one of their lines? Or how many times has an accident happened and all of a sudden you don't have one of your leads for 3 days, and you've got to go, well, I got to try and fit this in. Like, this is a train that is not stopping for anything, and I need to somehow
That's true.
figure out, like, how are we going to sort this?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Always like constantly, what if?
Yeah.
Always what if.
Yeah. And everybody just pulls together and fixes it.
Yes, and calm under pressure, and there's so many attributes that people in the AD department have to have. The episode is over. I'm gonna invite a couple people in with questions.
Awesome.
If you see any pop up in the chat, Zach, just interrupt, because if we'll see.
Oh, Elizabeth, I wrote down one trivia thing. Katie probably remembers this too, that we, us kids from California, because Katie's from California as well, and we are obsessed with Cactus Cooler. And do you remember this, Katie? And then it's a soft drink that you can only get on the West Coast. And we used to ask craft service to get it for us. And then I think you and Ian were like, what is this drink that you guys are obsessed with?
Pop.
Yes. And then we would like make craft service order it for us, and we all became obsessed. And then it was written into an episode. I think like it was, and it made me laugh so hard that I think it was.
I love that.
Adrianne's character is like drinking it. Bobby was drinking it, and then somebody says, "What are you drinking?" She's like, "It's Cactus Cooler," or something like that.
Oh my gosh. Well, quick, someone write to Cactus Cooler and get you guys a lifetime supply.
I would love that.
Big exposure.
We should have them for next week's episode. We'll see.
Yeah, we should. I wonder if I can get them in London, Cactus Cooler.
I don't think you can.
Don't think so. Denise is gonna have to send them to you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine, Denise. I'll tell you my address.
All right.
Abby, can you hear us?
Oh my God, yeah.
Hi.
Okay, hi.
Yeah.
Panic attack. All right.
Abby, do you have a question?
I have a couple. I was not expecting this.
Yay.
Let me just pull up this little file I made.
He's an AD in the making already.
No, absolutely. Get your spreadsheet.
Okay, let's see. All right, so one of the questions I have for AD is, do you guys, like, when you're planning stuff out, is it, I don't know how to describe this, but like the night before, do you plan it? I'm not explaining this all. Okay, so you guys plan stuff the night before, right?
Well,
the whole day before.
Week before, a little bit of everything.
And so you speak with like all the cast? Like, I know you speak with all the like the actors, but you speak with like the crew too, and like see what time they should come in and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And is there any other times that you have to like in the morning just change the whole schedule?
Oh, 100%. That happens often.
It happened on
It's not even in the morning. Sometimes it will happen like if you find out Wednesday at 5 p.m. and the first AD says, okay, we're going to wrap in about half an hour, but something happened with this actor. And so everything we're filming tomorrow, we can't film. We're now going to do all of this other stuff tomorrow. So everything you've been doing all day long literally gets thrown out, and you have to do essentially a day's worth of work in about half an hour. And it's a scramble.
That is correct. Yeah.
So, because for every day of the episode, you have a what you're going to shoot each day, right? And then as the second, you make the call sheet for each day. So usually by the time you wrap on a Monday, you'll have the call sheet for Tuesday that has every department's call time on and when the crew is going to get there and everything.
Exactly.
So that's kind of each day you kind of get your specific call time for the whole. I mean, it's such a huge job for the whole crew. Like, how many people are in Agents of Shield crew? Like 200?
Yeah, I mean, there's easily
it was big
on set and 200 on a regular basis. Absolutely.
Yeah, especially when we'd have 2 or 3 units going.
Oh, when there were 2 units, it was like 200 to 300 easily. Yeah,
it was a big crew.
It was a very big crew.
That's such a great question, Abby.
It is.
Thank you.
You feel free to stay there. I'm gonna invite one more person in, and Yeah, you forget the scale of it. How many people, and if just 50% asked you one question, that's you just answering texts all day.
Oh,
Yeah.
all day long.
It's
I
all
still
day.
remember I had an actor's agent once call me and say, "Can you call me every day with their call time?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah.
And he literally just stopped. He's like, "Really?" I'm like, and I said, "If you call me, I'm happy to answer questions, but I cannot call you every single day with their call time. I just don't have that time."
We don't have the time.
Yeah.
There's not enough time in the day.
Absolutely not. Hello.
I'm happy to answer questions.
How are you? Do you have a question?
Yeah.
What is it?
You know
Oh, you might need to mute. You might need to mute the YouTube video. I do this every single week.
I think that wallpaper.
Perfect.
That
That's
wallpaper's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
It is.
Can you still see me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So you know the explosion at the end. I
Yes.
just how many takes did that take?
Oh, just one.
Just, yeah, one. You have
When
to get
do
it right.
something like that, you only have one take, and that's why it cut so many different times from so many different cameras, and you saw it from so many different angles. I think we had at least 6 cameras set up for that. I would think probably a couple of GoPros as well.
Yeah, we usually have GoPros as well.
Because you only have one chance to do that, because when you set off that kind of firebomb, you're destroying things. You're legit destroying things, and the reset on that would be
Hours.
you'd have to come back the next day, and we don't have the time to come back the next day and set all of that up and still film everything we needed to film after the explosion. So no, just one shot.
That's such a great question, because there's so much pressure on those shots. And that's when you do those sorts of explosions in a TV show where there is no other time to schedule it in. And there's been, moments where as an actor, it might be, the explosion might be a couple minutes delayed because the time from somebody pressing the button to the explosions going up, and you just have to hold it. And if you break it, you just know if it was when like Jay was on, and in the pilot, his shot was him doing the scene and the explosion happening behind him. If he forgot his line in that moment, I mean, that's a colossal amount of money that
it is.
Production.
It's true.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that it is fixable, in that for that pilot, we shot that explosion from so many different angles that we could have visual effects could have taken it and reshot Jay with nothing behind him, and then we could have put the explosion behind him. But A, yes, it would have cost a lot of money, but B, it's never as good and as as truly, because you can also, like the best actors in the world, it's hard to act the heat wave of an explosion that big behind you, because you feel it. When we do that kind of thing, the crew, you feel a heat wave.
You feel it, yeah.
Absolutely feel it. So it's really hard unless you felt it before. And who feels that kind of explosion behind them in their lifetime? Not that many people. It's hard to put yourself in that position.
Yeah. And then when they do the reverse onto the actors, so on that bridge scene, they shine big lights in front of us so that you kind of get the explosion on our faces. But it's
lights and sriracha. I think it's a combination.
The heat and the light.
You need the heat, exactly.
Yeah.
That was such a great question.
No, it's a really good question.
And that's what makes these shows so fun, is that it's the pressure of you've got to get everything ready and you don't want to forget anything. And that comes in the organization of it. Like, everybody needs to be ready at that time, because there's just one shot. You can't be late. Everything has to be in place, and it still has to be dark. Like, you can't wait. You've got to get it done before the sun comes up.
That's correct.
That was such a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie and Denise. This was
Absolutely.
Interesting. And
It was fun talking about old memories that come flooding back.
yeah.
I mean, it was a great show to work on. It really was. It was great.
It was. I had a good time. When people ask me about it, I'm like, I had a really good time there. It was exciting. It was fun. It was really hard work, but I have good memories.
But of all of the core cast partners,
I mean,
Listen,
who is the one? If you're going to do a call sheet,
who gets to sleep in? Is
who's
it?
that show? That's what I want to know.
well, of course it's Zach. I mean, come
Okay,
on.
okay.
Zach, Ming's husband number 2. Maybe.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he bought her a car.
He did. I sent
True.
Elizabeth the picture of that day.
It's probably still on my phone somewhere.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do it because her
Being
license
not.
plate's on it, and I haven't blocked that out, so I'm not going to put it up.
I totally
just
get
saw it.
Oh yes.
Although it's not that subtle.
It's really not.
No.
You rank high though, babe. Let's go out on that. You rank.
Okay. I
Take
rank
the
it.
win. Take the win.
Yeah.
I'm closing the computer now.
Oh, for anyone that wants to be an AD or is curious about that side of the business, it's the DGA you go to. The
Google Directors Guild Training Program, and that'll get you to a link. And then I'm sure, Denise, there are probably some books out there like How to Be a Set PA. Oh, there's like Set PA Training, which is boot camp, which is hit or miss.
Yeah, there are. And then it's like Elizabeth was saying, it's like you just get out there and start doing it. You start meeting people, and then you'll start getting on sets and if you're good, and keep going and going.
Yeah, you know what? Just show up, get on a set. Just show up, even stand around outside and be like, hey, can I be a PA? Hey, can I be a PA? Hey, with enough persistence, someday someone's going to give you a walkie-talkie. It's like, yeah, I need you to stand over there. Somebody didn't show up today. Go stand over there.
I love it. Yeah, and you've got to get used to having an earpiece in.
Oh yeah,
your whole life.
And with the COVID times, it's the earpiece, the mask thing, the shield thing over us, and then
you only see.
It's
This is
there's
like
I have
this.
so many cranial accessories going on right when I'm shooting now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, now too, like meeting new crew for the first time, I only recognize people from here up as they drive off in their cars. I'm like, whoa, well, check out your nose and mouth. I've never seen that.
It's true.
Because we did in prep, we did a whole bunch of Zoom meetings. So I got to know people's faces. And then we show up on set and they're masks. I'm like, I don't know who you are. I've met you 1,000 times. I can't recognize you because I only see this much. And
you need to get labeled.
Different times.
Label on
sure.
the face shield.
Different times. But we
I'm
find a
actually going to
way.
make us do name tags on Wednesday, our first day of shooting. I'm like, we're doing name tags. I can't, no.
Everyone will love that as well.
I hope so.
Love a name tag.
Mhm.
Right, I'm going to let you go because I could just stay chatting for you guys for ages. Thank you, girls, for your questions.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good questions.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Zach,
thank
for being
you.
here as always. Live Chat King, thank you. And I'm going to let everyone in and we'll just wave goodbye. How do I? Admit all. Yay!
Great to see you guys.
I know.
Great to
Hey,
see
we'll
you.
get together when you're back.
Yes, please.
Bye.
There's a dog.
Let's bet.
What's up, Zoya?
Do you like it? Do you like this drawing? It's for your channel. Thank you. Guys.
Hi, Jess.
Brandon.
Season 1
So
on
many people.
DVD.
That's awesome.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Angela.
Oh my God. You like this drawing? How's everyone doing?
Oh my gosh, so nice.
Someone just wrote LARP.
Just okay.
I think everyone's in. I love Jana. Your postcard. Oh, I love that.
Hello.
A lot of people.
Hello.
Hello.
Wow.
Hey, Zach.
What's up?
Hey, Violet. How are you?
Hey, Brandon.
Bye.
You guys are amazing. I love you, Lil.
Thank you. We love you.
And the whole
Bye so much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate